Hey, and welcome to Wildy Creative. I'm Chef Zach Berger, and today we're going to make my lavender berry chicken meatballs and trout cake with apple ginger tartar sauce, and that's about it. So we're going to get started in just a few minutes. Everything that we do on this show is wildly creative. Everything is forest focused, farm focused, local focused, with a twist of culture. I've traveled about 26 countries. I love food, I love travel, and I love sharing my experiences. Everything will be taken from my trips around the world while paying homage to the Hudson Valley, where I really feel dear to my heart. Let's get started. Okay, so now what we're gonna do, we have some ground chicken to start our meatballs. On top of that, we have some minced ginger, some garlic, our berries, strawberries, blueberries, and blackberries from Migliori's farm in Mount Tremper, New York, and some currants that are also from Migliori's farm that we're gonna use as a garnish. Our eggs are from Winful Farms. Our apples are from Migliori's farm. Our trout we're gonna put out of the way just for right now. And then I use some QP mayo, which has a little bit, it's a Japanese mayonnaise with a little bit of vinegar to it to give it a little bit of a pop. So let's get started. We have a pounded chicken. We are gonna give it a pinch of salt, a pinch of pepper. We're gonna do about 1 clove of minced garlic and about 1 inch of minced ginger. And when I say 1 inch, I mean 1 inch of the actual ginger itself. I'm gonna crack our egg. And I'm gonna quickly just wash my hands here so that there's no cross-contamination, because that's really, really important when you're cooking. You always want to make sure that you're being clean and healthy, safe, because otherwise the end game is terrible. So you don't want to do that at all. So we're going to mix this up. We're going to add start with about a cup of breadcrumbs. And then mix it up really, really good. So you have your ginger, you have your garlic, you have your egg, and then you have the breadcrumbs that I'm gonna add as a binding with the egg. And then we're gonna start rolling our meatballs. So I'm gonna roll them like that and just leave them right onto the side of your bowl, just so that you don't have to wash a million bowls. Makes it easier. This is the fun, messy part of the day. So why make more of a mess than necessary? So rolling meatballs. And the important part about this is that you always want to make sure that if anything around you is clear, because you don't want chicken getting everywhere. Because if I get sick from these meatballs, I'm not doing my job right. So I'm gonna make about 5 for now, and I'm gonna leave the rest of my chicken to the side to finish later. So I'm quickly just gonna wash my hands, and then we'll get started on the cooking process. Okay, so now you can start to see I put my pan, it's starting to smoke. I put the pan right onto our burner. It's about medium to high heat. We have 5 meatballs ready to go. I have some macadamia nut oil. It's a high smoke content, so that way we don't burn anything. We're gonna put a nice amount in here, get these bad boys fried up. So now that that's hot, we're gonna take our first one, and you'll hear it starting to sizzle, 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 and sizzle, sizzle. Now, We're gonna make sure these get a nice crust on each side. So we're gonna leave them just for about a minute, and then I'm gonna flip them. While we're getting that started, we're gonna work on our sauce. So I have some blueberries, some strawberries, and some blackberries from Migliore's farm in Mount Tremper. As we go, we're gonna just check these and flip them because we don't want to burn anything. And chicken cooks pretty fast. Okay. So now, this is on about medium heat. And I'm gonna take a jam that I made yesterday so that it would set. But you can use any jam I use. I usually do a 4-berry jam. This is 3 berries with this. And then I added the currants. We're gonna give these a shake. You can start to see that they're getting a little bit crusty on each side. It's a nice looking brown. We want just a little bit of a nice sear so that you have a nice crust around your meatballs, but you don't want to overcook them. And then we're gonna take next, what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our jam that we made. You can use any jam that you want. I usually use for this recipe a jam that I make. However, any berry jam. So you'll see these right now are nice and brown. We're gonna turn this off and we're gonna take it and put it right into the oven that I have at 450 degrees. Now that it's hot at 450, I'm gonna turn it down to 400. And this is just to finish these in here while we finish our sauce. So, I'm gonna take our strawberries, throw them right in here. Take our blueberries, throw them in there. I'm sorry, our blackberries. Throw our blueberries now. Discard of this. Gonna add just a touch of water. But we'll see it starting to get nice, sizzly and smoky. And we're gonna add our jam. Okay. Now, this we're gonna let sit for just a minute, about 2 minutes, let it bring it back to a boil. I'm gonna put the heat up to medium-high heat, and I'm gonna pull these out. Because this is all pretty fast cooking and you don't want anything to burn. So that was hot enough just to give it a nice almost finish, but they're not finished totally. They're still a little undercooked. I'm gonna leave them right here and we're gonna finish them in our sauce. So I'm just going to give this a spin like so. We have our currants here, and while that rocks, we're gonna get started on our trout cakes. So with that said, I'm just gonna prepare our ingredients for the trout cakes. We have the QP mayo. We have our apples and ginger. These are ginger gold apples from Migliore's farm, and the ginger is also from their farm as well. And then salt and pepper. Really simple. I'm gonna go grab our trout and I'll be right back. Okay, so now that we have our sauces being worked on, it's starting to come to a little bit of a boil. I have my chicken meatballs in the back here that I'm just kind of leaving to finish. I'm gonna get started on our trout cakes. So this trout, along with the chicken that we use for the meatballs, is all from Woodstock Meats, which is in Woodstock, New York. So this trout is from the Beaver Kill River, just like the shag bark hickory dish that I did, the Beaver Kill River trout. So we're gonna just put this to the side. I have some, I filleted this earlier, diced it up real good, and mixed it with just a little bit of pureed fish as well. But you really don't have to do that part because we're also gonna have the mayonnaise that's gonna add as a binder with the breadcrumbs. So you don't have to worry so much about that. As we go, I'm gonna keep looking over at my sauce and we're gonna keep stirring it because we don't want the sugars to burn, but you do want it to reduce down a little bit. So I have it again on a medium-high heat. to keep it like that. Okay, so we have our trout, which has just been diced to make our trout cakes. So you can see, super small little pieces. Get our hands nice and smelly. Gonna, with the other hand, take a pinch of salt, pinch of pepper. I'm gonna take a little bit of ginger, a little bit of garlic, I'm sorry. Or a little bit of ginger and a little bit of garlic. And throw it right in like that. And then I'm gonna take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and you have to only use 9. I'm just kidding. I'm gonna use about 9, 10 apple slices, little pieces, just to give it a little bit of sweetness into it, because we're making the apple ginger tartar sauce as well. And it's almost September. I don't want to rush the summer, but it is the time of apples just starting to pop out in the Hudson Valley and Catskill region. So apples, pears are coming in, peaches, nectarines, and other stone fruits are coming out. I'm gonna take a little bit of our QP mayo, it's a Japanese mayonnaise, and just do a touch, just a little dollop like that, just to use as a binder. And boop. Gonna keep mixing it up. And then I'm gonna wash my hands and grab some more breadcrumbs. And we're gonna start on making these. Okay, so I'm gonna grab my breadcrumbs and we're gonna put about, for this amount, we're gonna use probably about a half a cup of breadcrumbs, I'd say. I'm gonna check our sauce, give it a stir, and just a little bit of salt to take away, to add a little bit of savoriness to it. And all of these dishes that I'm doing are gonna be in my cookbook that's coming out within the year. I will have a date, I promise. So now we're using these breadcrumbs to bind this cake up. And we're just gonna put it in the fridge for 20 minutes to just keep it as a binder while we finish our meatballs, and then we're gonna come back and finish our trout. So get it nice and mixed. And then we're good to go. Woodstock meats. Locally sourced meats from all along the Catskills Hudson Valley region. Awesome, fully cooked chicken breast, some merguez, some oxtail. You can get whatever you want for the most part when you walk in there. Pretty cool. They have really awesome fresh made sandwiches, a whole deli counter for that, whole meat section, drinks, some produce. It's a great time. They're also our sponsor for today's episode. Come out to Woodstock and enjoy the Hudson Valley Catskill region with us and get wildly creative. Okay, so now that our trout is cooling, we're gonna finish our sauce and finish our meatballs. I have some lavender from the Hudson Valley. It's fresh, it's dried lavender, but it's locally grown. And I'm just gonna take it right like that. And I wanna be kind of generous on this because it's gonna be the star of the flavor. So I'm gonna just kind of let that fly over it. Lavender is really, really strong. Some people absolutely hate lavender, but once they try this dish, they're like, oh wow, I like lavender now. So you can see this is starting to thicken up from the sugars. But I am gonna add a little bit of a cornstarch slurry to it, which just means a little bit of cornstarch. Actually, you know what? Yes, I am gonna do that. So sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. Today we are, so I'm gonna take a little bit of cornstarch, and I'm gonna take my jam jar that I had already, or the cup that I used for the jam that I just left to the side here to reuse. Put a touch of water and a tap of cornstarch, a couple taps. And I'm just gonna mix it up really good because you don't want any clumps in this. and it's gonna have some of that berry flavor from before. I'm gonna add just a little bit more because I have a little bit more water. You want it to be, it's called a slurry, so you want it to look a little thick. Okay, just like that. And we're gonna pour it in just a little bit. And this is gonna thicken this sauce. Just like that. We're gonna take our meatballs, and this is hot, so you wanna be careful. And we're gonna throw them in there. Give it a nice stir. Like that. And now we're gonna grab our trout, finish that up, and let these do their thing. I'm gonna put it on low, so it's on about 3 out of 10. So I'm gonna next grab our trout, and we're gonna start our trout cakes. Okay, so our trout has sat for 20 minutes, and I'm gonna form our cake. I have this on about medium-high heat, just like I did with the meatballs. I turned off our meatballs so that they're just kind of sitting in the residual heat while I form these patties. So we have this one, it's going right into the hot pan. And then 2. We're gonna flatten it down carefully. 3. And you want these to be nice and tight so they don't break on you. And I am going to wash my hands, let these cook, and we're gonna start plating the next dish. Okay, so we're gonna do a little bit of double teaming right now while we finish our cake. We're also gonna plate. So I'm gonna take my long plate. This is the fun part of our dish because we get to do whatever we want to make it look really beautiful. I'm gonna do a sneak peek to see how these look on each side. So this one I'm gonna flip. This one I am also gonna flip. And that one I'm gonna flip. I'm gonna press them down. And we're gonna take our meatballs and bring them right here. So a little bit closer. And I have some golden pea shoots from Woodstock microgreens. These are really delicious. I always, whenever I open pea shoots or any microgreens, I usually eat them first. Just a little freshness. Really, really tasty. I'm going to keep watching this because fish cooks really, really fast. So you want to make sure that you're not overcooking it. And we're okay right now. Okay. So these golden pea shoots have a very earthy, fresh taste. I'm going to swallow it. Excuse me. Okay. I'm going to take a bunch of them for the bottom and just kind of spread them right here. And pull this off so that residual heat just finishes them. And I'm going to take our meatballs. This is the fun part. So it's all about making them look really beautiful. And really just getting emphasis on the sauce being in there, getting it all nice, making sure got beautiful. And then we're going to take our berries and put it right over top towards the end here. Like that, and make sure there's no drip. We're going to take a towel, a little paper towel, and wipe around to make sure there's no excess anything. And this is my berry lavender chicken meatballs. Next, we're gonna plate our trout cake. Also from Woodstock Microgreens, I have some green pea shoots. Just like the golden pea shoots, but green. These I'm not going to put under. I'm going to put right here, just like this. We're going to let it cool. We're going to finish our tartar sauce. Okay, so Woodstock Meats gave us some really good trout. I'm very, very excited about this. I'm going to take our QP mayo to make our tartar sauce. And you can use regular mayo for this. I use QP for pretty much everything just because I don't know if it's the growing up in a Jewish household loving Chinese food and Asian food, or if it's just the taste of it. But one of those two things definitely has me on a QP kick. So we're gonna take our mayonnaise. I have some ginger we're gonna throw right in here, and our apples, because it's a ginger apple tartar sauce. Gonna do a pinch of salt, a pinch of pepper, and shake that down. Okay, and you just want it to be a little chunky. We're gonna grab a spoon. Let's see. I'm gonna do the chef's test. It's good. It's gingery, appley. We're gonna drizzle that over. Just to get it a little everywhere. Then we're gonna take our pea shoots, and with pea shoots, I usually take the ends off. And I won't throw them out, I'll use them. But I think it just looks a little bit more beautiful. Doing it like that. And I'll throw these right back in here because I will use them for something else. Never want to waste any. So this is my trout cake with apple ginger tartar sauce. Standing next to my chicken berry lavender meatballs. I hope you guys enjoyed. Thanks for being wildly creative. So just to recap what we have going on here right now, we have our trout cake from Woodstock Meats with a apple ginger tartar sauce and Woodstock microgreen green pea shoots over top. Also from Woodstock Meats, we have our chicken berry meatballs with a lavender berry sauce with golden pea shoots. Both is a Hudson Valley staple with a little bit of a twist. We have our Japanese QP mayo, and we have our Hudson Valley take on Swedish meatballs. I really hope you enjoyed everything, and thank you again for being wildly creative with me. If you like what you see and you want to see more, please tune in to the rest of the episodes, as well as go into my Instagram, FoodmasterFlex, and you can see all of my recipes, and you can see everything that I do, my events, and you'll also be able to eventually see my cookbook. So thank you again for being wildly creative.